Hello, scientists, seekers of knowledge, and those far beyond the mundane. This is Erica Millard, and today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about nonfiction. This is I think the genre that students have the most questions about because I think it's so broad that it confuses people. So I was just going to go through a few nonfiction books or a lot of nonfiction books just so you can get a feel for it and have a few suggestions on what you can do to utilize it with children. Something that I've noticed is not all children are drawn to fiction, which seems different than what you would normally think. You think children, they have to be interested in, something that's not real, but I have found that a lot of children, especially if they're not connecting to fiction books, try and find something that they're interested in from the real world. For example, my one son, when he was little, he wasn't super interested in regular picture books. We would go to the nonfiction section. He's a little engineer, and especially the airplanes and cars, that's what he would want. And we would get these nonfiction books and we would read them like picture books because that's what he wanted to read. Also, my one son, if you figure out what they're interested in, you can really find what they want. When he was about 3, we went to this science fair and here are all these science experiments. And all he wanted to do was stand in front of this screen that had pictures of people's x-rays of their bones. That's all he did for like an hour and a half, was just stand there and watch the screen. While my other son is running around building things. This is what my other son had been interested in, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So I've got a huge stack of all sorts of different books that we can talk about that are informational nonfiction. The first one I will start with is for a very young child. It's this one right here, Giant Pop-Up Vehicles. And literally it only has 6 pages and it has very few minimal, it has hoses, loud sirens and flashing lights. What is it? So this is obviously for a small child. And then when you open it up, it's a pop-up, that's a fire engine. So this is a super fun one for little kids. So that's informational nonfiction. Some things that I wanted to go through was there are a ton of these build Legos. And so what are cool about these is you can go through, it's still a book, it still has words, but it's a lot of showing you how to build things like with your own Legos. And then here's another one of those. And it's not just Legos that shows you how to build things. Like this one right here, it's about robotics, but it has projects. So what's cool about this is you can learn what makes a robot, and it talks about the things that have to happen to have it be a robot. Like it has to have sensors, and it has to alter its behavior because of the information it's getting. But then it shows you how to build those things as well. So that's a super fun informational nonfiction, and those are interactive. So same thing, there's how to draw, still informational nonfiction. There's this one. This gives just facts and stuff about rocks and minerals that you can talk about. And there's a lot of nature-based, animal world type stuff. So they can go through and learn about the world we live in. Let's see. And there are some that try and peg themselves as super unique. Here's one about the poisonous animals there are, although you learn in this book that they're not poisonous, they're venomous if they bite you. And then there's, let's see, like I said, you can go through, this one's talking about flight and all the different kinds of flight. And then here's this one that just talks about kittens. I mean, there's a nonfiction book for pretty much everything you want. The other thing I wanted to bring up real quick was the reference books. That seems to be one that confuses people a bit. So I have a stack over here that I will show you just so you can get a feel for what that means exactly. So this is one of my favorites. It's called The Science of Everything. Now that I bring this up, I'm not sure that this is technically a children's book, but if your child is reading at this level, any child can read this, and that would be. So it goes through and talks about everything. It talks about Pascal's law, and my kid loves this. And what it is they can read it like a novel, or they can look up something specific that they want to learn about. I think that's the difference between a reference book and a normal nonfiction book, is they can look up what it is they want to see. Here's another reference book, that the Pokemon Handbook. That's a reference book. And so you can go through and pick the Pokemon you want to learn about and do it. So some other ones that aren't quite so big, well, they're huge, but they're not so thick. Like here's the Big Book of Dinosaurs, definitely a reference book they can go through. Just like I said, they can read it like a novel, or they can go to the index and find the specific dinosaur they want to talk about. Here, same thing with this Magnificent Book of Animals. Something like this, we actually took to the zoo, and anytime there was an animal that they were really interested in, you know, this one doesn't have all the animals, but we were able to look up animals and learn about them, and it was an interactive experience with the zoo. So my son, the one I told you about that love the x-rays, he is 6 now, and he loves what he calls body books, and which maybe we should name it something else, but he loves to look at these, make it work, human body. He loves to learn everything about them, so he will just pore over these. And we went to this library book sale last week, which was a mistake. No, not really. And I bought way too many books, but he saw this one, and this one's not technically a children's book, but he just looks over this, and he just loves to see what's inside the human body. So I just wanted to reiterate that nonfiction is super fun, and it's super cool, and kids can really connect with it in a way that they might not be able to with fiction. Maybe they connect with fiction, and that's great, but it would be awesome if we all give them a chance to find something that they really love that's nonfiction, whether that's how to write a book, or how to write a comic book, or how to how the body works, or dinosaurs, or space, or whatever. If it gives them the opportunity to explore something that's real, that they can really connect with in this, that really is real. So anyway, I hope that helped get you interested in nonfiction, or help you understand it a little bit better, and I will see you soon.